Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Laura Paella, and I'm a contract specialist with the Wisconsin USDA Foods Group on the school nutrition team. Welcome to the USDA Foods Deliveries and Inventory Management Networking meeting. We will do a short introduction before we open this meeting up to you. Since this is an open meeting, I'm going to give you a few tips that we hope help run this meeting more smoothly. First of all, we're recording this meeting, and some of this discussion may be made into a Q&A for our website. If you are joining us by phone, you can use *6 to unmute yourself. And obviously everyone is already muted, so thank you for that. And then when you're done speaking, if you could be sure to hit *6 again to remute, that would make things great. If you are joining us from a computer, we are using a few slides, but if you're on a phone and you want something to follow along with, you can use the July 28th email on USDA Foods Inventory Management that went out with this meeting invitation. If you are joining us on a computer, we ask that you keep your video off for the entirety of this meeting. We find that the video slows down the interface and increases some lagging for a lot of us. When you want to speak or ask a question, there are a couple choices. On your computer, move your cursor around at the bottom of the slides and it'll pop up a toolbar. Here you can see a chat box and click on that and you can enter your questions or comments. And there is actually a copy of these slides in the chat box already if you'd like to download it for later. You can also raise your hand by clicking on the little hand icon. You can, then we will sort of call on you and unmute you if you need us to do that. Or if your question gets answered, just click on the hand again and that will put your hand down. For now, we have muted everyone, but in this meeting, you can unmute and remute using the microphone icon. We do want this to be interactive. So now I'll turn it over to our Assistant Director of Wisconsin USDA Foods, Randy Jones.
Good afternoon, everybody. Today's agenda will consist of us updating you on the DPI policy and updates, inventory management options, planning and forecasting, delivery of monthly orders, offsite inventory storage, transfer or donate inventory. We will be asking some questions during those topics, but at the very end, we're going to have an open discussion where we have 3 questions to lead us off into some good discussion, we hope. All right. To start things off, we'll be talking about USDA food policy. DPI, this DPI will not allow SFAs or schools to cancel monthly USDA orders. This has been a long-standing policy. We did have an exception at the end of last year because the COVID thing occurred so quickly. Schools weren't able to adjust, but that is no longer the case, even though things are still a little, planning is still going on. Also, USDA Foods Ordering Message System Board will be updated for product delays, shortages, and failed USDA procurements. And after that, administrative handling fees and applicable delivery charges will be deducted from your National School Lunch monthly rebate claims. We're going to show you real quick bullet number 2, what that means, and I will go into that a little bit. One way to access that is to go into your online ordering system, click Survey View, and then click Surveys and then View. And that's where you'll find where your orders that are coming to you are located, if you're not aware of that. If you have any issues, don't hesitate to contact us. We can show you your orders that are coming in this year. But this is really for some folks who maybe are new directors or new food service directors and are unfamiliar with this. Next up, we're going to talk about where do you go to find information where you have shortages. Or where there's been delays, or again, USDA has failed to do a procurement. So you will go to the online ordering system, log in as normal, And then on the next page up here where it says uncertified status, if there are any issues going on, this is where you'll find what they are. We do have some product already. We'll discuss that in the next slide that has been canceled by USDA as a result of a failed procurement. And we also had some issues with state delivery, our state processed products. But again, we'll talk about that on the next slide. But if there is any issues, this is where you would find that information. And again, if there's something on there that's not clear, don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Great. Hello again, this is Laura. USDA has informed us that the first bids for the sliced ham and the canned corn went out and there was no response, which means that the schools that requested these in September and October will not be receiving these products in September or October. For the sliced ham, we're planning to fill the September through November orders in the month of November. If it comes in earlier, we will try to fill them earlier, but right now we're planning for November. For the canned corn, we're planning on to fill the first orders for the corn starting in November. We will not be filling the September and October orders. Again, to stay current on the status of the deliveries, just like any other year, you would find those changes, delays, and shortages right on that message board that Randy just mentioned. You might not see that header that says uncertified or whatever that was, but usually it's right at the top on the message board where you can find those changes and delays. We usually post any of those updates right around the 16th of the month. And I think Lyra is going to talk about the next subject.
Yeah, thanks, Laura. Hello, everyone. So here's a few updates regarding our state processed products. So our team has been working with the processors to minimize disruption of annual orders. Our chicken nuggets and chicken patties were discontinued from production, but the processor is able to provide an equivalent product, which we approved after a modified taste testing with the help of our school serving during the summer. The new products meet the basic nutrition standards and credit the same as the original product towards the meat alternate and grain components. One difference is that the new products do not contain milk. So updated product fact sheets are posted on our USDA Foods webpage, and entitlement value and processing fees per case are unchanged for these products. We are also working with our cheese quesadilla processor. One of their plants, which produces our cheese quesadillas, was closed temporarily to accommodate a reduction in SKUs and to minimize health risk and ensure safety of their employees. They are able to fulfill our September and October orders, which give us time to coordinate a backup plan if the plant is not up and running in the late fall. So stay tuned for more information, which we will be providing through our webpage as well.
Okay, next, this is Claire Nagel, one of the procurement specialists also with the USDA, with the DPI. I'll be talking about direct diversion. The schools need to be watching their pounds at the processors. All the processors do have your pounds that you allocated for the year loaded into either K-12 or processor link. And so watch those pounds that they are coming in correctly to assure you're receiving your entitlement pounds that you allocated. And then also USDA also has been experiencing some challenges with procurement for some of the direct diversion products, but they are continuing to work with the processors and putting the products back out for bid, and are confident that they will be able to receive the direct diversion products that they are experiencing challenges with at this time. If you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me about direct diversion.
Okay, thanks, Claire. This is Jessica Oli. I am also one of the contract specialists on the USDA Foods team. I am going to start us off with the inventory management section. So we're going to start following along with the table that we had in our recent memo. The first inventory management option is to have SFAs manage USDA Foods inventory within the menu planning and forecasting. Review your menus. Will you simplify the cycle? Will you serve the same menu to students attending in person as those picking up meals who are enrolled virtually? Is there a USDA Foods product located at the SFA that can be repackaged and unitized? For example, if strawberry cups are delayed or short, can you portion out mandarin oranges from a number 10 can? Do you have the equipment and labor needed to assist with repackaging? Planning USDA Foods within your menu can help manage food costs. There are a few resources on the right to guide your thought process. As a priority, set up a meeting with your business manager. Discuss the food service budget and the ability to receive CARES Act funding to assist the nonprofit school food service account with increased expenses like labor. Refer to the DPI resource called Ways to Use Wisconsin Processed Products while menu planning. Including frozen, pre-cooked, fully cooked, or ready-to-eat products within your cycle menu will help manage inventory. SFAs should ensure that these items are distributed with clear cooking instructions for the household to follow, along with safe storage guidelines if foods will not be prepared and eaten immediately. Finally, continue to network with other food service directors and our team. It's important to idea share for the success of all child nutrition programs and food distribution programs. So now we're going to present an open-ended question here.
So I'll read the question. It is, how are you adjusting your menus to use USDA foods under the new service models? And if you'd like to type your answer into the chat, that would be most appreciative. And I'll read those out and then ask someone to address them, or unmute yourself and you can address a question or a comment. Okay, these are starting to come in. Susan says that she is portioning canned fruits, focusing menu on diversion items. Amanda says that our menu will be very commodity forward. Crispy chicken bowls, chicken cordon bleu, sandwiches, quesadillas, starting to get hungry. Fajita BBQ chicken sandwiches. Sarah says, I eliminated some of our non-USDA foods from our menu as our meal counts will be decreased significantly due to virtual learning. Yes. Amy says, we're serving all virtual, which will be much less product used than usual, but I'm making sure the entree is using direct diversion pounds. Great. Maggie says, repackaging fruits and veggies in portion cups. I imagine there's a lot of that. Laura, portioning canned fruit, portioning DoD items as needed, staying flexible on menu planning so that I can use as much USDA foods as possible. Right on. And does anyone have anything, any questions at this point about this particular topic, or any responses to anyone or questions for anyone who's already responded?
And if you're on the phone line, just a reminder to *6 to unmute yourself.
Michelle is asking, how do you serve all virtual? Please clarify.
That is a good question. And every school is going to be approaching that situation a little differently. And when I take the question, how do you serve all virtual? Let's see, there are mailboxes that schools are doing. There are also, we got to think about the drop-off locations and properly counting the mills to make sure that, what's the free and reduced numbers are accurate. And if you're all virtual, are you going to maybe have delivery service as well? Every school is going to approach this situation so differently. It's a good opportunity for schools to chime in. Are there schools out there that are going to be all or partially virtual? And if so, can you help us out with that question?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm from a Catholic school, so we only are going to have maybe 150, but we're thinking it's going to be less because of this. For the summer, we had the kids go to the public school. So, I'm thinking, because we don't have a whole lot that would have done the program, so being that they have the option to do the public, where am I going here? Do you understand what I'm saying? I didn't have to do it this summer because we probably only had 4 or 5 kids, and they went through the public school to give them credit or whatever.
So do you think that your fall will be different in that you'll be doing the serving, or do you think you'll continue your relationship with the public school?
I really don't know, because this year that we have just finished is my first year of doing this. So I'm not sure, but I have a suspicion that they probably will still let the public school do it.
Since you're a new food service director, there's something you might want to consider. It sounds like you already have a working relationship with the public school, but to create a network in your area of food service directors to find out what they're doing, how they're doing it. There's nothing like another food service director in the area.
Okay.
Yeah. And the options available this summer are going to be a little different going into the fall. The seamless summer had a bit more flexibilities with it that won't be available during the fall, at least at the moment. So there may be some other things that you have to do. It's something there's no barrier. I don't imagine if the public is willing to work with you. I don't see a barrier. It's just that you might have to have another agreement in place for them to do that. Aside from that, you should be good to go.
Okay. Yeah, I think that my secretary person who kind of does that deals with that.
Hey, Randy. This is Jessica Oley. For Tammy being newer, we have had some stakeholder calls specific to those service models and operating your programs this year. So I believe we have those recorded. They happened earlier this week, and private school ones happening tomorrow. So I just encourage you to.
That.
Okay. Yep. I would encourage you to listen in on those. And I think maybe Laura will just have to kind of proceed on with the presentation for now in the USDA foods area. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
And expect a Q&A to come, because it looks like we have some terrific questions that I definitely want to get responses back to. So just because we don't get to your question right now doesn't mean we're not going to. We'll get it posted. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Julie Benke says that she is using one entree to simplify, as we expect less participation. That way I can concentrate on USDA foods, which is great. Michelle Paul, and I agree with Michelle's question. Amanda, what are the fajita BBQ chicken sandwiches? So I'm not sure if you two already know each other or how we could, maybe Amanda, you can email me the recipe and I can get it out to Michelle Paul.
Share it with everybody. It sounds like a great.
Good. Amy J says, we're having families pre-order the meals and will deliver to the families. That is one way to do virtual.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, Sarah Dubois, we will be packaging USDA fruit, veggies, and pre-cooked meat alternatives for delivery meals and providing commodities as the basis of elementary menus and 1 to 2 lines at the middle school and high school. Jen, she would also like to hear more about the crispy chicken bowl. Amanda Tudor has already responded to about the recipe, so for how to do the fajita chickens, which is great. I have a question from Angie Stulka. What if you are in person, but someone chooses to do the online? Are we required to feed the online students? I think this was addressed in one of the stakeholder meetings as well.
Yeah, I would say we should probably refer to that and just keep this call moving related to, or we're going to get in the weeds with those type of questions.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Angie, we can connect you with someone to answer that question after the meeting. Amanda's still answering the how to make her recipes for her great ideas. Jacob from Stoughton says we will be delivering door to door, another virtual solution. Chris, Tri-County area schools in Plainfield here. We have a plan in place for bagged meals like we had to do to finish the last school year. We had pickup for students in town, and we had our bus routes deliver to families that chose to get the meals. Gina Kulka from DPI is reminding us that meals need to be claimed by a student at the school site they are enrolled. I think this one is addressed again by the stakeholders meeting. It's another question about virtual learning and feeding. So we'll address that off of this meeting. Carolyn says that they're using 1 entree at the elementary and still 2 entrees at the high school since it is a closed campus. That way we can use more USDA foods. Simple meals to send home to virtual. Brenda is wondering where the recorded calls are located, and we can put that on our website. This particular call will be by request only, Brenda. So I'll make a note that if you could send me your email, I will send you a recording of this particular call. And then I believe the other stakeholder calls will be posted online, but I'll have to check with the other group. But we can get that information to you.
Laura, this is Janelle. The stakeholder calls, I put a link in the chat box.
Oh, great.
It's on our COVID webpage under the Back to School heading. You can find links to the previous stakeholder calls.
Thanks, Janelle.
Yes.
Caitlin asks, those of you who are doing the delivery door to door, how are you doing that? So if someone who is doing the door-to-door wants to unmute themselves, I will check the chat, but that might be easiest for everyone to get the answer, particularly if they're on the phone. Okay, I'm going to move on. Maybe someone can chime in, or as I move down the chat, I might get to an answer for Caitlin. For managing inventory, are we going to be able to carry over pounds later than the new September 30th deadline, since we weren't able to use as much as we could have in the spring with COVID? I'll turn that over to Claire Nagel.
Yes, we are reviewing our policy, and at this point we have suspended the carryover date, and we are reviewing with processors and stakeholders, kind of trying to formulate a new carryover deadline. And so September 30th is no longer going to be any sweeps of pounds carried over from the previous school year, and we will be putting out an updated policy.
Thanks, Claire. Mary Dumont says in the chat, that's the challenge that hasn't been addressed adequately on any of the stakeholder calls, how to properly record free and reduced by school, especially in a large district. So Mary, I'm sorry, we can't help you on this particular call again, but we will take this question and try to get it addressed for you. Does anyone else have anything that anyone want to unmute and chime in on that one? Feel free.
Just for time's sake, Laura, I think we want to move on to the next section of the presentation.
Oh, sure. Yep.
So, okay, I'm just going to move on here.
Okay. Yep, but look for responses to these questions in a Q&A following. Give us a few days to pull everything together, and we will get some responses to your questions in there, okay? Next up is inventory management and what happens in a situation where you need to delay the delivery of monthly orders. So in this section, it's really meant for those schools who get state delivery. But in drafting this section, the team here said, you know what? We should at least acknowledge that schools with commercial distributors may still have to think about that, because not every commercial deliverer or distributor will hold inventory after a certain number of days. So in the situation where you are with state delivery, the SFA that receives state delivery can contact Central Storage Warehouse, CSW, to set up an individual storage account. This option requires 2 weeks lead time. Now, please note with this option that a contract that you set up with them is going to be independent of DPI and will be between the school and CSW. And the same is true or similar for SFAs that use commercial distributors. They should work directly with them to figure out what to do. And in situations where there's not options, the next slide will take a dive into that. Please note there are going to be associated storage fees and potential delivery costs depending on your contract with CSW, and it'll also be true with your commercial distributor. We have some resources here that you can click on this. It's a link. It'll take you to the contact information for CSW, and reference your distribution or your prime vendor contracts for contacts with your commercial distributor. Are agencies considering this? And has anyone used this option in the past? Again, please, you can either *6 and chime in that way, or we can use the message function that's on this Teams application.
So I'm waiting for some answers to come in. Again, you can unmute yourself. Amanda says that we are planning to take all the orders as planned, as long as our storage space holds up. So I guess I would suggest that if you have any indications that your storage space is not going to hold up, you can certainly talk to the warehouses in your area about possible space and getting a contract together in case you need space, just so you know what needs to be done in the short term. Caitlin says, same as Amanda. Susan says, we have used the commercial delivery option for years and it works extremely well. Michelle Paul agrees. We started commercial distribution several years ago and it was the best thing we could have done. If you guys want to share some of the pros for using a commercial delivery option, that might be helpful for those who are making those decisions.
And I'd like to, I'm sorry.
This is a short one. Sarah says that they have storage space and they are ordering another 3-door reach in freezer.
Nice. I just wanted to add too, if you're a smaller school and you've had issues or challenges with contracting with commercial distributors or prime vendors, one thing I recommend are the cooperatives and the group purchasing organizations that we have in Wisconsin. They've been wonderful for that. If that doesn't float your boat, maybe just work with some of the schools right around you. Nothing says that you have to go with one of those type of organizations. You can work with the schools around you to kind of leverage all of your buying to get something like that set up.
Dino at DPI in the chat has thrown in a hyperlink to a frequently asked questions for delivery service and receiving procedures. I think it includes some helpful information about some alternatives that we're talking about right now. Susan adds that the commercial delivery allows you to bring in your product when you need it and not have to keep a massive inventory on site. Susan will also probably look to donate food if we run out of storage. Would prefer not to be buried in commodities for months or years.
I would just add to that, also look at some schools around you. If there's somebody out there in need, there's another option as well.
Michelle adds, commercial distribution gives you the ability to order space out. Let me read that again. Commercial distribution gives you the ability to order space out your state delivery throughout the month. Oh, space out your delivery throughout the month instead of getting everything all at once. And it really helps when you have limited storage. Pat also adds in that the commercial delivery and menu planning work really well together. Amy would like some suggestions on a good commercial supplier for a small school that carries child nutrition products.
We are working on getting a list of distributors that we know of working in Wisconsin, and we're going to have that posted no later than November. We can maybe rush that. It looks like if it's a need, but that is a resource that we are currently developing.
Carolyn is just starting to use commercial delivery this year. Are monthly products delivered all at once or weekly?
So Carolyn, I think that would be you would contact your commercial distributor and set that up. Some are bi-monthly, some are weekly. I think it's between your contract and between you and the commercial distributor.
Dino agrees with Randy. Is there any kind of official system or policy to donate to other school districts?
We do have some policies and procedures or guidance on that, and we can add the link to the message board, or if not, put it in the Q&A.
And it's also one of the upcoming slides that was in the memo too.
Great. And there are some more responses to that commercial distributor question that's just agreeing. Okay, so I think we're ready to move on to the next slide. There's a lot of dittoing on how to work with your commercial distributor.
And I just want to add great commentary, and thank you so much for participating like this. This really helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, next slide discusses about offsite inventory storage. So if you choose not to delay your delivery and are experiencing a shortage of storage space, you may contract for offsite storage. You should need to establish a contract with a local food safe storage facility utilizing your emergency procurement procedures. You will be responsible for any fees and/or storage expenses that you incur with the contract. Once the contract is established, you will need to coordinate your inventory. So for product that you need to move out of your school into the storage facility, or when you receive product from the storage facility, you need to establish a process to move the product safely. And to modify your location for future deliveries of your USDA food, monthly deliveries of your USDA foods, you need to communicate with your contracted delivery vendor, either the MPI state delivery or your commercial distributor. So this gives you the flexibility to also obtain another delivery storage area. Are any agencies considering this, or has anyone used this option in the past?
And while folks are thinking of how they're going to respond to this one, I'll just add on to Carolyn's question about being a first-time user for the commercial distributor. She was wondering if they put the USDA items on the weekly order and you just choose what you want for the week. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they just commingle with your other products. They don't keep the USDA foods separate when you place your order.
Well, that is true too for direct diversion. For the brown box, they will slot those separately. So your NOI products, if you will normally be all slotted together, whereas your brown box will be slotted separately. So it just depends on the product. But whenever you do order the commercial or the NOI product or direct diverted product, just make sure that when you're ordering, you should have two options, one for the commercial, one for the USDA food option or NOI. Make sure you select the proper one in your ordering system with your commercial distributor so that you're drawing down your product. That's one issue that we find quite frequently in with schools that have a large amount of carryover. It's just that they didn't select the proper product when ordering.
Adam says, Gordon Foods has been fantastic for us. All USDA foods, brown box, are available on demand, but they need to be received by the end of the school year, which actually matches up with some of the things that we heard last year at the end of the year. Thanks, Adam. So I haven't gotten any response about the offsite inventory storage yet. We can probably move forward for now on this. Maybe no one has had to resort to finding their own offsite storage. From what we heard last year, that might have been a good option for some folks who were really having some inventory or some storage issues.
All right, so we have another option for us for inventory management, which is transferring or donating inventories. So when transferring or donating inventories, it is very important to keep in mind the following. One is if you transfer or donate the inventories to another school, a child nutrition program participant, or it should be a non-profit charitable organization. Two is to carefully review the transfer guidance, which is on the email communication that was sent as well. If you need more information about the regulation, the food safety measures, and document retention for these process. Number three, it is also important to communicate with your transportation or delivery company. It could be MPI or your commercial distributor. You have to remember that they have the need to know when these things happen. They always appreciate it when they are aware of the situation ahead of time for their own staffing and delivery schedule. So number four, who is paying for what? So always remember that the donating school cannot charge for the entitlement value or make any profit on the transfer of USDA foods. And if there are other fees involved in the transfer or donation of USDA foods, it should be negotiated between parties involved. So we have a question here of, so how are schools finding, or what tools are schools using to locate other schools, CNPs, or charitable organizations in their area?
While we're waiting for those responses to come in, Lori asks, is there still a limit case count that must be ordered before you can sign on with a current vendor?
I'm imagining for a commercial distributor.
I think so, yeah.
Yep, and most of the times there are. So you can that's usually part of your procurement when you put out your procurement for a vendor. And it doesn't hurt, again, to check with cooperatives and buying groups to see what their drop sizes are, just to kind of get an idea about what's been negotiated out there.
So Amy says, yes, ours is 15, and Amanda says none at this time. So I'm not sure who Amanda is using, and it probably just depends on who you contract with. For this question, Monica responds, we use commercial distribution and the distributor helped us find school districts to transfer the product to. They then delivered to that school for us. Sarah is circling back to the previous question. Our limit max, our minimum is with an order of $500. Brenda was actually contacted through her co-op in the spring for a school in Milwaukee that was looking for certain items. They came and picked up, worked out great. We were going to donate to our local food pantry as well, but didn't need to. Jessica Williams on another topic is asking, hi, how many bids do we need to put in for milk, please?
So in a perfect world, you get at least 3 bids. According to the regs, competition is required, so a minimum of 2. So the answer to that question is 2, but we recommend 3 because that third one is more of a confirmation of, yep, these prices are good, these bids are good.
And back to our current pantry or senior meal needs. Barb says that she's given some items to the Second Harvest in Madison. And Ellie White says she donated to a women's shelter back in March. And Mike is circling back around to the previous question about minimums. And his minimum is 10 cases and $500. So at this time, it looks like we're caught up on the chat. I think we can open the phone lines, as they say. So if you're on the phone, you can use *6. You can also unmute yourself using the toolbar at the bottom. Or if you can use the hand to raise your hand and we can unmute you. I know that's a little awkward, but that's one more way to get yourself heard.
All right. So for the open discussion, we have 3 questions to kick us off here. Well, the first one is a catch-all. Any final questions? And the next one, when should we hold another call? We've been debating, should we have this every week, every other week, once a month? Please let us know what you think. Is there a need for an agency platform to network? And what that means is, wow, we've been looking for some sort of something so that the schools can communicate with one another, like a social network for schools.
And while we're waiting for those responses to come in, there are some questions. Richard is asking about, is direct diversion processing the same as delivery by a commercial distributor?
Yes, and that is true. So you'll set up processing or direct diversion. I don't know of any processors who deliver directly to schools, but most of those deliveries occur through your commercial distributor. So to answer that question is yes, they're normally interlinked because you need the commercial distributor to receive the goods from the processor.
I'll just chime in that you can also use a commercial distributor without doing direct diversion.
That's correct.
Does the commercial distributor only deliver commodity products?
No, they do commercial products as well as brown box, direct diversion, and they also deliver our state processed product as well.
Emily is asking, can you explain the difference between brown box and direct diversion? Big question.
Absolutely, great question. Brown box, the way I like to think of it, these are processed products that are procured through USDA, and they filter through the state warehouses. And either we deliver it or it's being picked up by your commercial distributor. Whereas with direct diversion, those are products that are procured by the school, and you will have those delivered through your commercial distributor. So you select those products and you allocate the pounds during the time of the annual order. Hopefully that wasn't too short. I didn't want to belabor that one. But please give us a call and we can go into much more detail on that as well.
Yeah, and we can post, we have some resources posted that we can link to.
Yep. But I always like to think of it, who's buying? Brown box, USDA's buying, direct diversion, you're buying as the school.
Okay, we have had some responses to these last 3 questions. Carolyn says once a month call. Laura says monthly to keep us updated. Amy, a social network for schools would be great. Brenda, weekly, ever-changing times. New questions pop up. Amanda, monthly sounds good to me as well. And Jessica, once a month.
Okay.
Caitlin also would love a social network. Yeah, so that we'll look at all these and figure out how often, let you know how often we will do this, and how we make the platform to network work for all of you.
And can I add something in there too? If you have any ideas for that social network, just a platform for schools to communicate with one another, if you have any ideas or you've seen something that works either in your area or in other states, if you don't mind, just email us that information. We would love to look at it, and we are weighing, different options for something like that.
Michelle has a suggestion that we don't do any stakeholder calls earlier than 2, as some of us will be working in the kitchen up until 2. It's another good reason that we get these recorded, and you can always send us questions at any time. Yeah, a lot of people would like some communicate, some communication that they can do between each other. Okay, there's a question from Ellen. Do we know when we can view our commodities? My contract is still uncertified. Ellen, even though your contract is uncertified, you can still go in and view your orders. If you need assistance with that, I'd be happy to walk you through that. This is Laura Payella. And when you log in, just make sure that you are clicking on Program Year 2021. You're in the right program, NSLP. And then you can click on Survey on the green tab and View, and you can review your orders. They show up in the order screen after the 15th of the month, and you can see your handling fees on the invoicing tab, and those get deducted from your NSLP reimbursement claims.
Dino to the rescue.
Yes. Caitlin is wondering about the stakeholder call tomorrow. We can connect you with that. I think Janelle, if Janelle's still on, she can put that link in this chat.
Yep, I just did.
Thanks, Janelle.
Hey, Laura, there's a chat above that we missed. It says, Randy, are there any plans for a procurement class? I really feel like I could use one from Jen.
Yes. So next summer we'll definitely be having those, and we have a couple virtual ones, or we have, well, one virtual one out there already. And then there will be one part of the SNA food or USDA food show as well. So there'll be a short procurement training in there. And again, we are available for some one-on-one training if needed, because again, I know a lot of schools, their situations are unique, and we can kind of tailor that to our conversation.
This is Tammy. Hey, is that class for private school on Thursday?
Sorry, Janelle, go ahead.
Yes. Yes, so there's a stakeholder call tomorrow from 9 to 10 a.m. for private schools, and you can find that link on that COVID webpage under the Back to School heading. There's
Okay.
a section for the June call, and there's a section for the August call, and the links are there.
Okay. And you think that would be good for me to listen to?
I think it's good for everyone to listen to, so I would recommend joining.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I do see a question, are the stakeholder calls recorded? Yes, they are all recorded, and the links to join later become the links where the recording is. So those, again, are all on the COVID webpage under the Back to School heading.
And before everybody leaves the meeting, I just want to thank everybody for all your input and discussion. This helps not just DPI, but all the other schools that are listening in. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I see one comment from Holly. Are we supposed to log into Wisconsin USDA Foods ordering system from the 3rd through the 10th of each month to check availability of additional entitlement, no charge bonus products for the upcoming month? Does this have to be done?
It does not have to be done. And normally we don't have a lot of product out there this time of year, but we highly recommend it, especially if you feel that you're in need of some additional product, because we will have a good bit in being fair shared out.
And actually right now, particularly, yeah, there is some surplus available up until the 10th. And I recommend that anyone go in between the 3rd and the 10th that's looking for a little more product, and check out what is there. So I would mark your calendars. As Randy said, it's not always there, but when it is really nice.
But just to clarify, you're not obligated to check it. So we're not going to follow up with you if you don't go on there. Thank you, Carolyn.
Okay, just doing a last check through the chat. Thanks to everyone who helped out with that today. Ellie White asks, the surplus, is that considered transferring, or are there charges associated with it? And it depends on how it is listed. If it is listed under entitlement, then it will be, the value will be charged, will be decreased from your entitlement, and you will be charged handling and administrative fees. Delivery, if you have state delivery. If it's listed as a bonus item or entitlement no charge, then you will not be, the value will not be deducted from your entitlement, but you will still be charged the handling and administrative fees and the delivery fee if you take state delivery. I also appreciate how everyone chimed in and answered each other's questions. That's exactly what we wanted to see happening today. It's just great to see the back and forth, and it just tells us that that networking platform would be pretty handy for a lot of you. Okay, it is 1 minute to 3, so this will conclude this meeting. Thank you so much for attending.